Hey guys, what's going on? Sorry, this angle is not the best, but you know, we do what we can around here, so that's just how we gotta do it right now. So, apologize if I'm not looking at you. But anyway, this is as you can tell, a movie review, which I have not done before. Maybe I've done one, I can't really remember, but I'm doing one anyway because I really wanted to. So I just got done watching Man of the Year, as the title will tell you. And this is a pretty interesting movie. So first, I'm going to do a little bit of introduction about what this movie says it is. And then I'm going to tell you what I thought about it. So right off the bat, we see it's Robin Williams, Man of the Year. This came out in 2006. And it says on the cover, hilarious! Exclamation point. Robin Williams gives a brilliant performance. Okay, interesting. And the back says, let's show you the back here real quick so you can see a little bit. Okay. It says Robin Williams gives a wildly wonderful, hilarious performance. Interesting. Okay. We also see a band of other cast members here at the bottom. We have got Laura Linney, Christopher Walken, Lewis Black, Jeff Goldblum. There's Robin Williams again. It says, this is the description. Comedy superstar Robin Williams from RV, The Birdcage, and Mrs. Doubtfire, it says, plays Tom Dobbs, a comedian who made it to the top by telling it like it is. When he decides to run for president to unleash his trademark comic rants on the powers that be, something extraordinary happens. He wins. Yeah, I need to read that again, sorry. If you don't mind me, let me read that again. When he decides to run for president to unleash his trademark comic rants on the powers that be, something extraordinary happens. He wins. Yeah, so he's this talk show host, and he runs for president, and he actually wins. From the director of Good Morning Vietnam and Wag the Dog comes an irreverent comedy hit with a hilarious all-star cast that is sure to win your vote for Best Comedy of the Year. All right. And, yeah, I'm not sure if I wanted to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, and then we'll see how I like it. So this movie is rated PG-13. And it's rated PG-13 for language, including some crude sexual references, drug-related material, and brief violence. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, you kind of know a little bit about it. And, okay, this is another couple other really important details here. This movie came out in 2006. It says 2007, though. But I'm pretty sure it came out, it was either 2006 or 2007. IMDb says 2006. This says 2007. So we'll see. Anyway, it is an hour and 55 minutes long. Okay, now here's the part that you guys are probably looking forward to, if you're looking forward to anything here. So, here's my review of this movie. This movie is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty crazy. It is not what you would expect it to be. And I have a few... So basically, long story short, well, some backstory, I guess. I love Robin Williams, as does a lot of people who are old enough to know him and treasure him as the treasured comedian that he still is. And I had the RV movie, which is another comedy in the same... It came out around the same time as this movie, a little bit before it, I think. And it really sucks because here's the thing. There was a time where Robin Williams, I want to say I can name at least 3 powerhouse actors. 2 of them were mainly comedians, where they started to kind of fall off, and this was decline. So if you're interested in pop culture history, you'll probably like this information. If only I had a good place to put this phone to record right now. Let's try this. So, All right, bear with me a second. Okay, so in this area, I want to talk about 3 people real quick. Mel Gibson, Robin Williams, Jim Carrey. All right, these are just 3 that come to mind. So Mel Gibson was a powerhouse, top-notch actor. Starred in all the action movies. Was, to me, the guy, like the guy. And people can argue and say that, oh, it was Brad Pitt or whatever. Well, in my opinion, Brad Pitt, everybody knows about Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is only popular because of his looks, and that's about as far as it goes. Mel Gibson is from another he's another breed. So, but anyway, Mel Gibson took kind of started to go on decline. I want to say right around the time in the late 90s. His time pretty much ended, I think, in about 98, 99. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's pretty accurate. He did come back and make The Passion of the Christ in 2003, I think, or 2004, that's a whole other story. An amazing, I love it. I'm a big fan, but anyway. Robin Williams, his career started to kind of go away and tank around the same time. Like, his big hits, that didn't mean he didn't stop making movies. He kept making movies, but his big hits were in the late 90s, his final big hits. Good Will Hunting is probably the last big, great movie he was in. He was in a bunch of others, too, that some are fan favorites, but just weren't really, not critical successes, not critical acclaim films, like Patch Adams and What Dreams May Come. That was from what I understand, it was not too bad of a movie. But his decline started around then, but he kept making movies, and he tried to stay relevant. He tried, because that's what you have to do. And so that's what he was doing with this movie, Man of the Year. That's what he was doing with RV, which was supposed to be this super hot, super poppy, family-friendly, slightly raunchy, whatever type of movie, PG movie, comedy. It didn't turn out to be that great, and neither did... This is not my review of the movie. I'm not saying Man of the Year didn't turn out to be that great. But as far as success goes, as far as like the money it made or whatever, or the critical reception, etc., 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 I'm not talking the fan reception, but just like what I can see based on the research I've done about how well it was received, was it did not do very good. I got a really bad Metascore. It came in at like a 39, and for reference, 60 and above is a good movie. So that'll tell you about where it came in with their IMDb Metascore. I'm sure it got a pretty bad Rotten Tomatoes review. Anyway, so with all of that said, I just wanted to mention that thing about the 3 actors and their kind of rise and fall. And Jim Carrey, it happened to him too. He started falling off. And he was in Yes Man, which came out in 2007, when that was not so bad of a movie. It wasn't too bad. But it still just was just like, you know, okay. But it survives on the strength of how much people love Jim Carrey. So, and that's kind of how... I don't want to say this because I love Robin Williams so much, but some of these other movies that he was in just weren't really... Unfortunately for him, they just weren't really good movies. They just weren't done very well, unfortunately. And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to put Man of the Year in that category or not. I mean, categorically, yeah, it basically falls, and historically it basically falls in that same category. It was not really that great, unfortunately. But I'm still going to give you my review of the movie. So, sorry, if you're still here, I appreciate you, because 9 minutes in, no review yet. But, basically, my review of this movie, Man of the Year, is I actually like this movie, and I want to say at the moment I like it a lot, but I'm going to say that there's a lot that, I mean, I'm a big movie fan, and some things just like drive me nuts, and some things I just don't like, but this movie was not what I expected, to say the absolute least. I did not expect this movie to be the way it was at all. It was, you look at it, and here he is with his silly, like, presidential vibe going. He's, like, famous Robin Williams, like, for being a, you know, hilarious, funny man, however you want to say it. He's, like, he's obviously mocking the whole thing, saying, look at me, I'm a president, isn't that so funny? Look, I'm official, isn't this so funny? With a straight face, but a hilarious straight face. And the first thing on the front cover says, see, look, I don't know if you can see it there, it says, hilarious, see? And then, like, you get this impression, and then, like, based off the headshots on the back, that you get the impressions that this is, like, this feel-good movie. Like, this is just a great movie. It's got a good heart. It's really well-natured. It's really great, you know. It's man of the year. You know, who knows what this is about? This looks so interesting, right? You read the little thing, and you realize, oh, man, maybe, if you think about it, maybe this might be kind of more of a serious movie based off of what it says. Because, like, here's the thing. Most funny movies don't have that deep of a plot, right? They just don't, because they're not plot movies. They're comedies. But this is a comedy with a pretty deep plot. Not to mention, yeah, so it has a deep plot, but like I was saying, this movie just goes a direction that you don't expect it to go at all. And it's really unusual. And for me, being a movie fan, and being a huge Mel Gibson fan, I'm a huge Mel Gibson fan, but at the same time, I'm going to be honest, you know, I'm going to, you know, give people the benefit of the doubt and stuff like that, but I'm going to be honest too. So ultimately, I stuck it out for this movie, and there were a few times where it was a little hard to watch, because, and that's a difficult one to explain. It's a little hard to watch, so I'm not gonna, so I know what this movie would have to be in order to be successful and loved and critically acclaimed, but movies that aren't that are not necessarily movies that I don't like, right? There are some movies that I really like that aren't massive successes, that aren't critical smashes, you know, like the critics love it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There are movies that aren't critical successes that actually I like. Just because you like a movie doesn't mean it has to be a critical success. Like, duh, of course, right? Of course. So, with that said, like I said before, I really like this movie. But here's the thing. Like I said before, this is not what you expect. So if you're gonna watch this movie, just know that it is not the hilarious Robin Williams funny man silly comedy movie that's just gonna, like, you're gonna watch it and you're gonna go, ah ha 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 ha, oh that's so funny, oh my gosh, that's so funny, ah ha ha ha, that's so funny, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's not that movie. Mrs. Doubtfire is that movie. You will laugh at Mrs. Doubtfire, right? It's that kind of movie. You will crack up. There are parts that will make you crack up. He will crack you up. And also, it's a great movie and has a good heart. This movie, I'm gonna try to be honest here. This movie, because I don't want to align my views with the critics, but I don't want to, like, be dishonest either. Speaking of that, honesty is a really big part of this movie, actually, interestingly enough. This is a pretty good movie, but with that being said, I am going to go off the grid here and say that this is actually a really cool movie. Like this is actually a pretty cool movie. And I say that way because I know what people I know this is gonna sound bad, but I know how shallow people like movies. That's not actually not what I mean. Like I said before, I kind of know the way a movie needs to be in order to, like, get the success, the critical acclaim, and everything like that. This movie is just different. It's not that. It's not that kind of a movie. It's not, like I said, it's not the hilarious Robin Williams movie. It's funny. Yeah, it's funny. There are funny parts in it. But it is a serious movie. It's a serious movie. It's a serious comedy that's not a comedy. It's also a thriller. Yeah, what? It's actually a thriller. It's a political thriller. It's a political drama. It's a conspiracy thriller. It is a slight cat and mouse. It's a lot. And I would say that critics who would give this movie a bad rating would say that this movie doesn't know what it is. And I would say that, but I really just want to stop trying to define movies by expectations, and I want to just stop defining movies by the norm, the status quo, right? What we already know, what we expect from movies. So I don't want to define it that way at all. That's why I say I like this movie, because it's different, it's unique. It's not what you expect. It's not what you expect at all. And there are some really good actors in this, actors and actresses. There's things I like about this movie. There's things I don't like. Laura Linney is in this movie, and she played in The Truman Show, if you remember her from The Truman Show. She's been in other things too. She's a well-known, great female actress, female actor, actress. She's a great female lead, well-known, great female lead actor or actress. And she played a really great role in this movie, and it was really, honestly gripping. And that's the weird thing, right? Because this is supposed to be a comedy, or is it? You look at it and you say it's a comedy, right? Oh, it's Robin Williams, this is a comedy. You look at the cover and you go, oh, it's a comedy. And you hear the first thing on the front page that says, oh, hilarious, right? You say, oh, this is a comedy, right? And that's probably the mistake. And I know that movies have to be a certain way in order to get sold, in order to get advertised. They have to like sell themselves a certain way in order to get people to be interested. And so they had to, I think that's just the road that they chose. They just chose to build this as a comedy. I wouldn't call this movie a comedy. I just wouldn't. It's not a straight comedy. It's like, it is it's kind of its own thing, is what it is. It's its own thing. It does have comedic elements and everything. I mean, the main character is a talk show comedian. He's like a Jon Stewart. He's a news anchor, but he's also hilarious. He's a comedic news anchor. And his whole run with his pitch for running for president is telling the truth, but making jokes, shaking things up, he says. And it kind of like wins you over politically, regardless of what you believe. I mean, there are some things where I'm like, okay, that's totally liberal, that's a total liberal formula there, blah, blah, blah. But like, he makes some good jokes. He even jokes, I mean, it kind of comes up the middle though a little bit, which is what you need. And it's also, it makes it more palatable in my opinion. Like, it's not so bad. It's not straight Republican, it's not straight liberal. He makes jokes, and in the movie he makes jokes about a lot of people, and it's great. He makes fun of the Jews, and that's like, nowadays I feel like that's pretty hard to do, because I feel like you're not allowed to. And because you'll just get called anti-Semitic. But he does it in the right way, and what I mean is he makes fun of them because he makes fun of everybody. So it's not like, it's just like Don Rickles. Don Rickles, nobody was safe. When he was around, nobody was safe. He would make fun of anybody. And that's what made him a great comedian. He wasn't, some people could get upset and be like, oh, well, he's a racist, or he doesn't like black people, or he doesn't like Chinese people, or he doesn't like, it's like, no, dude, he's actually just a comedian, and he's funny, and he's literally making fun of everyone. So if you make fun of everybody, does that make you a racist? No. Anyway, it just kind of baffles me, people's shallow perceptions, but at the same time, I get it. Anyway, so there's a funny joke in this where he actually jokes about, before I say this, there's a really huge conspiratorial subplot in this movie that is amazing. And you wouldn't expect that. Like, okay, long story short, spoiler alerts with this. He runs for president because he jokes about it on his show, but his audience doesn't laugh, they applaud. And then he's like, oh, snap, maybe I should run for president? And then, like, he starts running for president, and he actually wins. But here's the thing. This new voting company came out with all their Delacroix systems, right? All these voting systems, everything, blah, blah, blah. It's so much easier. It's digital. It makes it so easy. Skip the lines. Just vote digitally. Nowadays, we don't even have choices. And if you question anything, you get called a complete traitor to your country. That's the day and age we live in now. You're not allowed to question elections anymore in America. I mean, you can question him a little bit more now than you could 4 or 5 years ago, but yeah. Well, anyway, in the movie, this company comes out, right? And they're the solution. They're like, yeah, right? We're the greatest voting system ever. We're the technological giant. And it's election season. And Laura Linney's character works for them. And she finds out something's wrong in the algorithm. And she's like, oh, snap, stuff's not working right. There's a glitch in the system. I'm actually afraid about this. What the heck are we going to do? She contacts the CEO of the company. And he's like, bro, like, you expect us to fix this like 2 days before the election? Not to mention, we work to get all this credibility. We can't look bad. People, you can't create distrust in us. You'll lose us money. People will get fired. And so she goes to him in person. He basically dismisses her email. She goes to him in person at a big party at the company, and him and his henchman basically stands up for him, his right-hand man, and says, you know, what's your problem? I can't believe you want to do this. And she kind of just, and he kind of like paints her as a bad guy, you know, says, how dare you question this? Like, see, this is this movie. That is what I'm talking about, is from this movie. This is not what you would expect. It's deep. And so she's stuck because she's like, well, crap, I know that this is not right. And there's a problem. And at first I thought that it was going to be like the president who was, the incumbent president was going to win, and Robin Williams' character was not going to win. But the people were all going to vote for Robin Williams, and so he was going to be denied the election that he deserved. But actually, the opposite happened. The incumbent president lost, and Robin Williams got elected. But Robin Williams did not win. So he wins. He's happy and surprised. His manager's like, what the heck just happened? How did you win? And the country is like going crazy because they love him. He like totally shook the whole system up at the debate. He like made fun of everyone and made it a funny show and like made people laugh and was telling truths in a funny way. Like, icon. And so he wins the election, but he doesn't really win the election. So she's stuck with this information, and she gets nervous at her home, and she's getting ready to go to bed, and someone freaking attacks her in her apartment. Laura Linney shoots her full of drugs, like a crazy mix of drugs, right? And the next morning, she wakes up and she goes to get her coffee, and she's not herself, and she has this like spasmodic like freak out, psychological breakdown trying to get her cappuccino, creates a whole scene, gets fired from her job. They did that in order to make her lose credibility. And you see that happen in the movie, and you're like, you know that this stuff happens in real life. You just know it does. And then you take that thought and you think and you say, wait a minute, what kind of movie is this? What is this movie trying to tell us here? What's this movie trying to tell us? What's this movie about? What's this movie about again? It's about Robin Williams, who's a comedian, but he became president, and that's supposed to be funny. Oh, no. No, it's not. It's not about that at all. It's about truth. This movie is about truth and justice. And success by being honest. And telling the truth even when it's scary. And telling the truth even when you're afraid. That's what this movie's about. That's why he's the man of the year. And so Laura Linney's freaked out, and she keeps being like followed by the Delacroix people, and she's trying to tell Robin Williams, and she finally gets with him, and she can't tell him. She doesn't have the heart to tell him because he just won the presidency. She can't actually tell him like, oh, you actually didn't win. Sorry, Mr. President, but I have some really bad news. You actually didn't win. But she eventually does. And at this point, she's already been smeared and by Delacroix, and Robin Williams calls Delacroix and talks to them, and he's like, yeah, oh yeah, she's totally a druggie, she's totally has drug problems, blah, 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 you can't trust her, everything. And so he's caught up in a scandal, blah, 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 blah. She's trying to get in touch with him to tell him more, and she's being stalked by the company who she narrowly escapes, like they're stalking her, like with like dudes in black suits, breaking into her hotel room and trying to like freaking kidnap her. It's dark. It gets dark. And it's like they're chasing after her. They're trying to kill her. And she's trying to get to the president to tell him more. See? What I just got described, again, is this movie. You would never, ever, ever, ever believe that. You would say, that's not that movie. That's another movie. That's a conspiracy theory. Or that's some other movie. Nope. It's Man of the Year. It gets to the point where she's in a phone booth trying to call the president, and a car runs her crashes the phone booth trying to kill her, and she survives. And at this time, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were big. This is 2006, so Weekend Update or whatever it was on Saturday Night Live. Robin Williams' character, the president, is going to be on Weekend Update Live with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and it's funny, blah blah blah. But then he starts telling the truth about that whole situation with this lady, and then he actually admits on air to everyone that he is not the president, and the truth comes out. The Delacroix people get arrested. All this stuff happens, and long story short, he goes back to his show and is not president anymore, and is celebrated for being such a wonderful guy. And he's on the newspaper and says he steps down, and it's like this glorified thing, like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. And at this point, I realized that I should not. I wanted to tell you about this movie. Here's the problem: I wanted to tell you about this movie, but now I've told you. Like, I've given everything away. I've given the plot away. I've told you the spoilers, everything. So, I want you to watch this movie, but at this point, I've told you everything that's going to happen. So, what? And the hard part was, I can't really tell you the truth about this movie without, I don't know. I want you to watch it. But now you know everything about it. Anyway, long story short here, this movie was great. I will give it, I'm going to say maybe a 3.5 out of 5. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it about a 78, 79. Because I don't want to be too high, because there are some amazing movies. But this movie is original. This movie is different. This movie ain't your mama's movie. I mean, this ain't your normal movie. This ain't your regular movie. This ain't your normal Robin Williams movie. And also it fascinates me to watch the last things that he did, because he died a couple years after this movie. And we know that Robin Williams died by suicide. And it's interesting to see what was going on. And this movie ended up being, I think, a commercial flop. And RV was basically a flop as well. I mean, unfortunately. And so it's just tough. It's tough. It's tougher because this was actually a cool movie. And if you go into a movie without expectations and you just say, you know what, I'm going to watch this movie and I'm going to see what it's about, the more open your mind is, the more you might like this movie. And I want to mention that Christopher Walken was in this, and he was pretty cool. Again, I can't say enough about Laura Linney. She was amazing. And Robin Williams was amazing as well. And he played this stand-up guy. He played this really great guy. Like, stand-up, no pun intended. But, like, he played this really, really great guy. This guy of honor and truth and, like, good character, actually. He actually played a good politician that the people loved and that the audience would love. And it was just hilarious. Like, yeah, he was a little irreverent, but, you know, it was part of the joke. Lewis Black was also in this movie, and I think Lewis Black is pretty cool. He played a good part in it. Jeff Goldblum was in this movie, and Jeff Goldblum, you know, Jeff Goldblum's okay. He's all right. I don't love Jeff Goldblum like some people love Jeff Goldblum, but he played a bad guy in this movie again, just like in Wizard of Oz, which I thought was pretty cool, because it's not that normal for him, I would say. But this movie was cool. I'm definitely gonna watch it again sometime in the future. I have a lot of movies that I have to watch still, but this movie is pretty cool. I was watching it with my mom, and she left halfway through just because she was had some other stuff going on. But she didn't really like it that much. She was kind of like said, I don't know what this is kind of taking a long time. This is kind of a slow moving movie, and to be fair, she was kind of spot on. I told her at the end, I was like, you probably wouldn't have liked that movie anyway. But this was a really cool movie. So, again, my vote is, this movie is not what you think it is. It's not what you thought it would be. And it's a good movie. I struggle saying that it's a good movie because parts of me want to say, no, it's not. It's a bad movie because there's so many problems with it. And a lot of people would agree about that with me. A lot of people would agree with that statement. But I'm choosing to like this movie anyway because I think it's cool. I think it's original. I think it's unique. I think it's not what you expected. And if it wasn't for, there's one thing in it that I didn't really like. I mean, I could find more things I didn't like about it, but one main thing that I didn't like is there is a blatant anti-smoking campaign in the subplot. Blatant preaching to the choir. And I don't like that. I don't like the idea that we as viewers or consumers are too dumb to where we need movies to tell us that smoking is bad. I think that that's beneath us. I think we know that smoking is bad. And if you think that you need to put that in your movie to make people know that smoking is bad, to really wake you up, really get your attention, really tell you, look at the tragedies of smoking, it really is bad, then you really need to go find a way to create a better public service for yourself that will make yourself feel better and get the heck out of our movies, because we don't need you in our movies telling us how to live. So there you go. There's my review. And if you like Robin Williams and if you like originality, you'll like this movie.